So as far as the agenda, we're just going to talk a little bit about HASTAC and the myriad opportunities to get involved, share your work, connect with other scholars, and then just a couple announcements, and then we'll open things up for questions and discussion and maybe make some connections with each other today. So to start out, a little bit of background on HASTAC. So HASTAC stands for Humanities, Arts, Science, and Technology Alliance and Collaboratory. So referencing some innovation just in the name of this network. It was founded in 2002 by Kathy Davidson, who's now a distinguished professor of English at the CUNY Graduate Center, and David Theo Goldberg, who's the director of the University of California Humanities Research Institute. It is the world's first and oldest academic social network. So it came long before things like academia.edu, and was developed to be an active online commons where any member can contribute ideas and network with any other member. HASTAC is co-administered by folks at Dartmouth College and at the CUNY Graduate Center. However, as HASTAC Scholars, you're largely going to be interacting with me and Shaun and other staff from the CUNY Graduate Center. HASTAC Scholars was developed in order to give scholars like yourselves more opportunities to learn from your peers and to gain experience sharing your amazing work with each other and the broader public. And even to find folks to collaborate with, hopefully. That's the beauty of HASTAC. Someone has sound on? Okay, thank you. So now, just I guess by a show of hands, who has explored the HASTAC.org website at all? Okay. So I'm still going to just pop it up here. Okay. I'll share my screen. So HASTAC has over 16,000 members from over 400 organizations. Which is to say, you know, sharing your work through the HASTAC network will give your work a lot of exposure. And it's also a lot of opportunities to connect with other scholars. And HASTAC.org is going to be one of their primary places for you to do that. I'm not going to click through all of the different tabs and you know, ways to explore the website. You can do that on your own time, but just know that you know, we would love to see you all blogging, sharing your work, exploring various initiatives, checking out other HASTAC members' own blogs and profiles, reaching out to folks, looking out for CFPs and conferences that are happening. This is going to be a really important hub for you to get connected. And then I'll just stop sharing to say, has anyone not created a profile yet on HASTAC.org? Okay, so again, I'm not going to go through, there's a couple of you. I'm not going to go through exactly how to create a profile, but if you need any assistance with that, just reach out to me and Shaun and we can help you get set up. All right, so next on the agenda, Shaun and I are going to go over some of the programs that we facilitate and, you know, help organize for all of you to share your work and get connected with each other. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, oh, and I will say that a couple of the programs that we're going to go over, you can actually find archives on HASTAC.org. in the collections section. And that is linked to in the agenda. So the first thing is Digital Fridays. And I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so this is again on HASTAC.org. You can find an archive of past Digital Fridays. Basically, this year, the way that we're going to be running them, we're going to have at least one Digital Friday every month. And it is an opportunity for all of you to share your work. It could be something that you're just developing. It doesn't have to be, you know, a beautiful, finished, you know, these are the findings of many months and years of work. It can be things in process. It can also be, you know, things like pedagogical practices that you are working on. And we are doing them as lightning talks. So every month we'll have 3 to 4 folks give around a 10-minute talk on your subject of choice, followed by, you know, question answer discussion. So for all of these things, Digital Fridays, the HASTAC Spotlight, and other things, we're going to be giving you links today, but also following up with email with sign up documents. So you'll be able to sign up for those opportunities in a minute. So the next, oh, sorry, before I move on, does anyone have any questions about Digital Fridays?
Yeah, so if I get it right, we're gonna pick a topic up so can you please explain a little bit what Digital Fridays are exactly? I went through your website, but it would be great if I hear from you if you have a moment to do so.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, I don't know like how much familiarity all of you have with all of our programs yet. So please feel free to ask questions if I haven't gone into enough detail. So Digital Fridays are, you know, digital, virtual, sort of like conference talks, but a conference talk, you know, is more formal, a little bit higher stakes. We want Digital Fridays to be an opportunity for you to try out new ideas if that's what you want to do. And so, like I said, on a monthly basis, we'll hold this Digital Friday recorded on Zoom. And 3 to 4 folks will share something about research that they're working on. I definitely encourage you to go look at the archive of past Digital Fridays because the themes and topics discussed are very wide ranging. People have talked about books that they've written. People have talked about applying to grad school. I mean, it's very, very broad. And so we really want it to not be an intimidating kind of experience, right? Like anybody can give a Digital Friday talk. Okay.
Hey, Hilary, can I add something?
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm lowering my hand. So Digital Fridays are totally led by and conceived by and organized by the scholars who proposed them. So it could be on anything that interests you, as Hilary mentioned. I think maybe it would be helpful to hear a little bit of like process of how folks, so I dropped a link in the chat for where folks can sign up for Digital Fridays. We're doing it slightly different this year just because we wanted to make sure that we're doing the lightning rounds short because we wanted to make sure that everybody who wants to present in the HASTAC Scholars program that they can. So we're just trying to create more talking slots. But generally what it means is the scholars will propose a talk that they want and they'll kind of sign up in the document. And in the weeks leading up, Hilary and I will kind of follow up with the scholars about you know, just getting an abstract of the talk that you want to give, maybe getting your bio so that we can put together some promotional materials and we'll share it out on our networks. But we also encourage people to share that information with their friends and family and as well. And yeah, I think there's been like Hilary said, there's been a wide range of talks, and I think a couple people who have presented Digital Fridays are here today. So I might ask you all to raise your hands if you're here. I think Sam might be here and maybe Martine. But yeah, if y'all wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your experience in organizing a Digital Friday and leading a Digital Friday, that might be helpful for other people to hear too. But yeah, so we will do that. And I think it's like, and Hilary said this already too, it's like, part of the purpose is to create like a space for people to share their ideas, but part of it is also to like practice something that you might be working on. So if you're working on a conference paper and just kind of need a slightly lower stakes space to begin practicing the presentation or work through some ideas, that this is a great space to do that too. So yeah, I see both Sam and Martine are here. Can I pass it to Sam first and then Martine to share a little bit about your experience with Digital Fridays?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, my name is Sam. My pronouns are Aziz and Zers. I use neo-pronouns. A lot of my specialization is in LGBT studies and mostly in assessment research. So kind of looking at how peers can create assessment research and kind of develop LGBT centers to be more inclusive for students. So when I was designing my Digital Friday, a lot of what I wanted to talk about was a program that I developed at my college, which was a queer peer mentoring program, and that how that affects higher education and peer advocacy. So I called it Asserting Your Identity in Higher Education, which was really similar to a lot of research that I had been doing for a while at that point. Honestly, running a Digital Friday felt pretty easy. It felt really similar to a lot of the work that I had already been doing, which was kind of just formulating all of my work together and understanding how I wanted to do things. I had a lot of freedom with how I wanted to run it. So I kind of did it like Squid Game themed. And I talked about how sometimes it can feel like we're in Squid Game with peer advocacy and how we support each other. It was really amazing because I got to talk with a lot of students who asked a lot of really informative questions about higher education, and a lot of that was related to my work. Yeah, it was really fun to run. A lot of the students were really interested and invested in it, and it helped me kind of develop research a little bit further. It wasn't really a difficult process. A lot of it was kind of free form, feeling what I wanted to do, understanding what I wanted to say during the piece. And at the end, there was a lot of questions that I really didn't expect, which were really awesome, and kind of reflecting on it at the end and writing a blog piece about it. Kind of as a recap, was kind of, I think, the hardest part, just because it was just like I wanted to put everything inside of it and kind of trying to understand like, okay, how do I make this simplistic? But it was honestly a really simple, easy process and really free form. So you really get to explore your own work in the way that you want. So.
Thank you so much, Sam. Martine, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Shaun. I'm Martin Perez Comiso. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a PhD student in Arizona State University, but I'm from Chile. For me, the Digital Friday was an experience to like share about like how I was approaching my methods for my dissertation, and I like introduce and like approach the session as like a lot of like a Zoom conversation, like the ones that like we usually have with like other colleagues or advisors when you want to catch up with something, but also with like slides and everything that like helped me to share what I'm thinking in a structured form to like be able to share with others, but also without feeling that I'm being like judged or like this is like something like terrible that like might be like an academic conference for some of you. Like sometimes can be like a little threatening that feeling, but this space is a space that like you can come and like share your experience and share different like approaches that doesn't fit necessarily with like what your advisors are expecting or your colleagues want to see, but like something that like you want to process and share with others. And I think the HASTAC community in that way is extremely supportive. I went to like my fellow was like between 2020 2022 and has been an incredible experience to be able to reach out people in the HASTAC community. And the Digital Friday for me was like a moment to like consolidate that experience for reach out to others. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for all of you and a way to also know the work of others. I assisted to a couple of other Digital Fridays that were like less research oriented. In my case, I'm a socio-technical researcher. I was like more methodological or like more focused on my topic, but others were like about like strategies about higher education or discussions about like issues that are going on. The Black Lives Matter movement, and everything that happens in 2020 in the US, what happens during the time has been like associated to HASTAC, and there were like a couple of like Digital Fridays really intense and really important and like really like insightful to learn from. And I think Digital Fridays are a way to connect and see the people on live and not just in the blogs and conversations. But yeah, it's a fantastic experience, and I encourage all of you to apply during this year, to share anything that you're working or any tiny project that you're thinking that this community can help you to like think together.
Thank you so much, Martin and Sam. I think that was really helpful to hear. I see a couple questions, both in the chat. I saw somebody asking if it would be recommended to use Google Slides, and Sam responded, yeah, but it's really up to you. It's if preparing a slideshow is something that you like to do for your presentations, that's fine, but it's not required. And then I saw somebody ask if they had a rough idea that they had for Digital Friday, that if they could share. Yes, please share it in the chat if you'd like. I'd also say that you could use our listserv and email the listserv in case there might be someone who isn't here today that might be interested in that idea. So yeah, put that out there. And if there's any way that Hilary or I can support you in kind of thinking through your idea and what a presentation might look like, that we are here as a resource for that as well. So yeah, please, by all means, reach out to folks. You can share it in the chat. You can share it on our listserv. You can reach out to us. Are there any questions on Digital Fridays? If not, we can maybe keep it moving to other programs.
Yeah. So actually, Shaun, you were going to talk next about the collaborative book review.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to drop in the chat a link to sign up for the collaborative book review in case anybody is interested. If anybody, I'm not sure if anybody here today was part of our last collaborative book review, but if you are, please raise your hand too, because I might pull on you to share some of your experience on that as well. Oh, Galen, thank you, Galen. This year we're reading a book called Design Justice: Community-Led Practices to Build the Worlds We Need, by Dr. Sasha Costanza-Chock. The ways that the collaborative book discussions have gone are that for folks who have signed up, we will send everybody a PDF of the book, and folks can sign up to either review a specific chapter, and the chapters are kind of broken down in the Google document that I just shared, or to review the whole book. And we have kind of a timeline in terms of asking folks to submit their own reviews. We will pair people up with other people to do like a peer review, and then we will publish the peer-reviewed reviews together as a collection on our website at the end of the spring term. There's one other thing that folks can sign up for, which is to potentially interview Dr. Costanza-Chock. I emailed them at the beginning of the fall term so that they know that we are reviewing their book and really excited that we are engaging in this project. I would probably follow up with folks who might be interested in doing some sort of interview as maybe a Digital Friday event, to just make sure that we can schedule that with Dr. Costanza-Chock and if it makes sense with them. Those are some ways that folks can participate in the collaborative book review, which is reviewing specific chapters, reviewing the whole book, or signing up to do an author interview. Are there any, well, before I pass on to questions, Galen, would you care to share a little bit about your experience?
Of course. Sorry, I got the video situation figured out. So with the last book review experience, we reviewed Putting the Humanities PhD to Work. I reviewed the conclusion, which actually made my job somewhat easy because everyone else had already kind of talked about the other ones, and I read through the book. It was an engaging read. Getting to come in at the end and give a strong discussion of what went on, and also it was very collaborative because during the peer review experience, we all reviewed each other's work. I really enjoyed that as someone who's interested in possibly publishing other work. in peer-reviewed circles. It was a very friendly process, I would say. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Thanks so much, Galen. Are there any questions on the collaborative book review? Yes, go ahead, Vivian.
This might not be a very smart question, but I know a lot of you guys are involved with this research interest of design. It's not in my field, so I'm just wondering, can you define like what design is really quickly? Maybe someone who focuses on that could for me.
That's a good question that I don't feel specific, like any specific expertise to answer. But if anybody wants to jump in, that's fine. But I guess I would say that I think part of the collaborative book review is about the actual content of the book itself, but part of it is also like the practice of reading, reviewing, and peer reviewing and publishing something too. But if anybody has an answer to Vivian's question, please raise your hand and jump in. Kelsey said, any action done with intention is design.
Yeah, I would also say, just chime in, I've done some peer reviewing with people who are not in my discipline, just as part of writing groups. And yeah, I guess writing groups, not so much reading groups. And it can be really useful to have, to be reading how other people, right? Like when you're reading someone who's not in your discipline, you're really, like the feedback for them is, okay, how do you write about your subject matter in a way that I, a layperson, can understand, right? And so that kind of feedback can be really useful for the writer themselves, and is sort of clues you into, okay, how in my writing can I translate my work for people who are non-specialists, right? So I think reading and writing across disciplines also can be useful for us. Yeah.
Are there any other questions on the collaborative book review? If not, you can always email us too if you have, questions. But maybe we can continue on with talking about the Scholar Spotlight, Hilary.
Yeah. So we have two other ways that you can showcase your work. So they're both a type of spotlight. One is the Scholar Spotlight on HASTAC.org, and the other, which Colleen will briefly talk about, is a spotlight on Twitter. So on HASTAC.org, you can find Scholar Spotlights. These usually happen in the format of an interview. So we have kind of predefined interview questions, and we ask you to create a blog post where you answer these interview questions. You can answer as many or as few of these questions as you want. And then we pin your interview on the website. And so it's highlighted for the whole HASTAC network. Again, you should have a link in the agenda to an archive of past HASTAC spotlights. Is there anyone in attendance who has been spotlighted on HASTAC.org? I don't think so. Any questions about that? That again is, the process is just that you sign up for a month. We usually spotlight 2 scholars per month. And as far as like a time commitment, some of the questions are personal questions. Why are you interested in this research, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, yes, Martine maybe was highlighted or spotlighted. And so again, it's like a fairly low stakes way to share what you're working on. Martine?
Briefly, because I talk about digital Fridays, but yeah, it was like also this was in 2020. I did not last year, but the year before, my first year, was like a pretty low bar thing. I think the hashtag team is very helpful to like guide you on the process to do this interview. And also it's like kind of like self-interview. It's like you are answering the questions and then like it's like kind of like review on conversation with somebody from the hashtag team. And you can highlight the questions as Hilary says, the questions that you feel that suit more to you. And yeah, was a great exercise. And it's something that you can start doing now. Like for sure, you that are in your master or in your PhD or in other kind of studies in this moment and associated to hashtag, you have like things that like you can share with us, the things that inspired you, the things that like creates you curiosity, the things that like annoys you and you want to like do action to make a better world. And I think this spotlight is a great space to introduce to the community as well to like share those ideas and those feelings.
Any questions? So Colleen, do you want to just say how our Twitter spotlight works?
Yes. Okay. So hi, everyone. So for the Twitter spotlight, it's basically the same logic or principle behind. We have a HASTAC Scholar Twitter account, and for the spotlight, what we will ask people to do is to organize a short intro of themselves that will go throughout an entire week. So you will have to prepare a series of tweets every day in advance, of course. And so it was me last year, it will be Jessica this year, you'll get to meet her. But basically what you have to prepare is a series of tweets on your work, on your research, on yourself and your trajectory in the academy and as a young scholar. And what is really, really cool is that it's a different format. So it's not a blog. This time you have to kind of adjust to the Twitter very short format, but you also get to actually interact with a lot of people. The HASTAC Scholar account has quite a few followers, and also like you actually get like, yeah, you get to network, but also like you get a lot of visibility over there. So some people might reach out, you know, so you have to organize a little bit what you want to say about yourself because of this specific format. You know, the Twitter format is very short, so you have to be really strategic. And basically you would have, for instance, what we generally recommend is that on Monday you present yourself, you know, what school, what department, where you come from, why did you start grad school, for instance. During Tuesday, you would start introducing your research, you know, discipline, topic, main questions that you might want to ask. On Wednesday, we suggest, for instance, what methods, what epistemologies are you using? Why is your research topic important? Why does it matter? On Thursday, it would be what kind of media do you use to speak about your research? You have song, arts, literature, digital media, and you can share also like super cool resources. Generally, we encourage you to share the resources that can be shared on Twitter. And the last day, generally, you know, you can kind of open the debate to maybe elements that you've had to modify due to COVID situation, elements of self-care or routines that you set for yourself in order to get through grad school. So it's more like the tip section of your practice as a scholar. All of these, of course, are like the kind of suggestions that we have, but it's absolutely flexible as long as we kind of organize your introduction as 2-3 tweets per day during this week. We can have a very dynamic presentation, and it's a thread, so people kind of start following the thread at the beginning of the week. By the end of the week, you have a whole presentation as a thread on the HASTAC Scholar Twitter. So it's a pretty nice format, very different from the blogging, but it's actually, yeah, it's very dynamic, people interact, so it's pretty cool. And I'm seeing a question, if we're having an article published, would that be an appropriate format to discuss it? On Twitter, so you could link the article if you want, because that gives you exposure, and at this point, you know, that's also something you need to be strategic about. But we're also very much interested in you sharing, I don't know, maybe a super cool repository that you're using, or very interesting, I don't know, mapping resources, you know, that kind of media that you are incorporating to your research. and that people could actually be super interested in and not necessarily know already. And so many of you actually are using super cool methods and tools that it's generally really, really useful to share that with people. Can we follow our current cohort or past members in Twitter or somewhere? Okay, so the Twitter handle, I'm going to put it like in 2 minutes, I'll put it in the chat so you can all follow the HASTAC and HASTAC Scholar Twitter account. And that's mainly where things will be happening. I don't know if Shaun or Hilary have other recommendation, but that would be basically the idea. So if you want to share your handle, that's the moment. And I'm gonna share the 2 Twitter accounts. There's a HASTAC account and the HASTAC Scholar that's specifically organized around a HASTAC Scholars activity and you scholars.
Thank you, Colleen. And yeah, definitely, you know, when you're building out your profile on haystack.org, we want to, you know what all of your handles are for all of your social media, so that we can know how to reach you. Okay, so I think, oh yes, so a couple announcements. So in May of 2023, HASTAC is going to be hosting a conference, an in-person conference, that's the plan anyway. And the theme of this conference is critical making and social justice. I think they, folks were originally thinking about it in terms of design justice, and then eventually settled on critical making and social justice, because they wanted to think about design, but also making in a more capacious way, while also centering the idea and importance of social justice. There is the call for proposals has not been finalized, and there's a lot of information that we don't yet know, but the information on the agenda is what we have to share. So more information to come, and we'll be sharing that all over the HASTAC website, social media, as well as through our listserv. And speaking of the listserv, the address is there, and you've probably already been receiving emails from the listserv. That is another way for us to communicate with each other, and Shaun and I will also be communicating with you through that pathway. It's a great place to, share information about opportunities, CFPs that are going out, but as we've already touched on, a way to, say like, hey, I'm working on this project, I want to collaborate. Is anyone interested? Or I want to do this, I have this idea for a digital Friday. Is anyone interested in collaborating? Yeah. Shaun, do you have anything to add about the conference or communications?
Not much to add on the conference. We'll have more updates coming soon. In the chat, it seems like there's a lot of energy to have a group chat or a space outside of the listserv for people to talk. Someone recommended a Discord, which it seems like folks are really excited by. I'm not on Discord, but I can be. But if someone is willing to maybe take a lead on starting a HASTAC Scholars Discord, I'd be happy to support that and make sure that everybody gets a link to join. Is there anybody who maybe would be interested in taking a lead on that? And I'll follow up with you separately.
I can probably
let me know in the chat if you are, or I can, yeah, please.
Yeah, no, I teach with Discord regularly and would be happy to take a lead on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, right on. Thank you so much, Zach. Okay, so I'll talk to you off list, and we'll make sure that everybody gets the link to join. Thanks again, Zach.
So we have about 16 minutes for any additional questions. Also, if folks are just dying to share with us something that they're working on and might want to work with others on, or you want us to know about, now's the time. So questions, comments, announcements, please raise them.
Yeah, any questions? Or yeah, our guided question is, oh, I see Alicia has their hand raised. Great, Alicia, I'm gonna call you in a second. Our guided question, in case anybody wants to just chime in a little bit at the end of our program, is if there are any projects you're currently working on, curious to hear what they are and how you see them kind of overlapping with HASTAC, or how you might see HASTAC supporting your work. But Alicia, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Shaun. I actually want to do some publicity because I am part of a consortium that's called DEFCON. I'm going to put that in the chat. And it's called DEFCON. And it's a lot of very good opportunities. Basically, it's a consortium, from what I understand, that received from, yes, with Rupsi, that received money from the Andrew Mellon Foundation. And they received a grant, and what they did is that they broke it down in several small grants, right? And if you are from a public university, you can apply and you can receive grants for digital humanities work. And for example, I received a grant for mentorship work. So I'm going to be working with a professor. Where is she? I think she's somewhere in New York, but I'm sorry, I get really confused. There's so many New York ones. Sorry, with Catherine Golden, and we're going to design a Asian American history class that has a lot of digital humanities features. So I just wanted to, let you know that there's some money outside. And so if I think that, the round of application form maybe this year might be over, but it might be worth it to, follow them on Twitter or anywhere to find exciting talk or opportunities. Do I have a link? That would have been a good idea before I started this whole thing. So I'm going to find something for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. I'm trying to think about, I wish I knew more about Discord, but that seems like maybe a good space to be able to share stuff like that too, right? Like funding opportunities or ways that folks can collaborate. I'm curious to hear from you all. I know that we've heard from some people here, but not everybody, especially if somebody hasn't had a chance to speak yet. Would you want to chime in and share something about maybe what you're working on in your studies and how, like what brought you to HASTAC, what projects you might see growing out of that? Sam, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so a lot of my work, how I ended up in HASTAC was I was in the CUNY peer leaders. And for my CUNY peer leaders, I had to create a project of like how I wanted to reimagine the world. And what I decided to do was create basically like a college transition program for students called Connections, which stands for Queer Connections. And basically it pairs queer students who are already in college or acclimated to college in that location with other students who would like a queer mentor. And so basically how that ended up happening was just kind of like maybe this will happen, it'll never really happen, and ended up becoming a paid mentoring program. And I really use a lot of like e-portfolio education websites to kind of create a digital space for students to explore these projects in their own like space. So the program kind of became their own thing of how they built projects, how they started to reimagine campuses, which made more projects, which ended up being like the Student Athlete Pride Network on campuses, how we reimagined in language and all of these things kind of, I guess I would say it's like the HASTAC, but like your version of it, but like in their own made little spaces. And so something that I'm currently working on is trying to bring different chapters and understand how each program would change per student population per campuses. So right now I'm working on a 2-year campus and trying to figure out like, how does that change if we add faculty involved? How do we change each site to acclimate to these students and stuff like that? And really the base work of that is the research research that I do now, which is queer assessment research, which basically, instead of looking at things like campus pride and analyzing it under like these 8 specific rigid categories, we understand the service providers and the LGBT service provisions that exist on campuses and how they can change to better benefit all students and minoritized groups. So that's kind of the current research that I'm working on now.
That's so rad. Thank you so much for sharing, Sam. Yeah, and Sam, I saw earlier in the chat that Sam shared a link for their Digital Friday presentation earlier, and it was really great. Like, I think that the types of questions that your presentation provokes was really like the type of conversations that we want to be having in this space. So thank you, Sam. I think I saw a couple hands go up just now. Did they go down? Are there any other questions? If not, we can maybe wrap up early and just keep the Zoom link even open if folks just want to like informally chat or get to know each other. But if there aren't any further questions, are there any last minute questions?
I don't have a question, but following Alicia, I would also like to kind of bring something into the picture for everyone else. I work in electronic literature, right? And last year in and around this time, I had the very good fortune of facilitating the first electronic literature collaborative in India. So I would like to invite everyone here to follow that page on Twitter. It's still, and it's very nascency of nascency, if you will, but we're getting started and it's very informal, but yeah. And I will leave the link in the chat right here. All right, and this collaborative is going to have its first panel in the Digital Humanities Conference in India, which is being held by Dharti, which is a digital humanities organization in India. I leave the link of that website in the chat, which is dhdharti.in. So the conference is just around the corner, and I request everyone to register for it as well. Thank you so much.
Right on. Thank you so much, Samya. I think for today, maybe let's just wrap it up. We can leave the Zoom chat open in case folks want to hang around and have like specific individual questions. We can stick around for a little bit. So I guess maybe moving forward, Hilary and I will be sending out a kind of a recap email about today's Digital Friday welcome event, just with all the links that we shared. So in case you weren't able to follow up everything in the chat, we'll send everything out. And we'll also hopefully have this video edited, well, it's recording, but it'll be edited and hopefully shared out too in the next week or so. Otherwise, thank you so much for dropping in today. We'll see you all very soon. And we'll leave the Zoom open in case there's any questions. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your week or weekends.
Great to see all of you.
Yeah, I hope everybody's there now trying to go.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I am interested in Yasmin project. And then now, Yasmin, are you still there? Oh, okay.
Don't know.
Yeah, I had a little problem with my network, and that's why I was just like buzzing, coming in out, because of the network problem that I'm having here. But if I guess of God, before the day of my presentation, I will change the location to see how I can present my paper successfully.
Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you. It doesn't look like Yasmin's here anymore, but
okay.
We'll figure out how to get you two in contact if you want.
There's a lady that during introduction, there's a lady that talked about mapping Francophone literature, and that is my domain, my specific domain. No, I wasn't like hook up to this lady. I think she's one of in the United States of America kind of university in Miami, or New York, something like that. So
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be worth just following up on the listserv. I don't know how closely folks are following the listserv right now, but that's where I would start. And I wonder if you said the person's name was Yasmin.
Yeah, I know Yasmin is into Eastern poetry. Yeah, but
Yes.
there is a lady that introducing herself that she is into Francophone literature, mapping
Yeah, I
Francophone
remember this.
literature, something like that. Yeah.
I remember this person. We can think about how to get you two connected.
Actually,
Maybe you
there
can
is a
look at the
project.
chat after the meeting and see if anyone mentioned Francophone in the keywords.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this presentation transcribed? If it is transcribed, then I can like query it and get the person. No.
I don't think
I
we had-
believe it's going to be transcribed. Someone mentioned that we could check the recording too to find out who it is. But if you can send me an email, we'll try to put you in contact. I see that you put your email in the chat, but let me give you my email.
Okay. Okay. Merci. Okay. Samia, it has been long. I didn't see you.
Yeah. I saw you right at the beginning, brother. Good to see you after a long time.
Good to see you again, Samia.
Yeah, good to see you, Lavanya, as well, and Shaun and Hilary and Colleen as well. I've been in conversation with Shaun over email, me and my mentor, for a long time.
Yeah.
It's nice to put faces to names.
Yeah. How have you been doing? With your
I've been doing good.
dissertation.
I shifted to my university campus like 2 months ago. So and Lavanya, who's on the screen, will be coming here very soon, hopefully. So getting adjusted to the new space, and that's all really.
Anyway, will you be in Italy?
I don't know, because that is a very big decision to make, right? And it's a very big process, and the acceptances are also not here. So I don't know really.
Yeah, this year we'll be in Morocco for African Electronic Literature Alliance. The second conference, second edition will be in Morocco.
Okay.
And Nick Mumford will be there.
Yeah.
Serge Bochodon. I
your
think
mentor.
even Catherine Hales will be there. Yeah, but because of God, by November maybe we'll be in. We'll see all those those higher guys, they're up there in the African and the Electronic Literature Organization,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to see so many electronic literature people here. It's very, very motivating. Yeah.
Motivating. So I saw
right,
I skimmed through your
now. Good to see here. Yeah.
Okay, I skimmed through your own former your publication with ABR.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. Very, very kind of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And let these people not see that I think Shaun Lin is here. Hilary Wilson.
Yes.
Okay. I hope we are not boring you, bugging you with our own stories.
I think it's great.
Yeah. So thank you, Samia. Bye. Shin, I thank God that you have really worked on the hashtag website, because in like last year and early this year, I tried to like update my profile. I couldn't do that. But period to this presentation, I see the website has been like updated, and everybody can access it easily. Yeah, thank you for a good job.
Thank you. If you send me an email about your issues with the website, we can put you in contact with our tech person. They weren't here today, resolved. But if you send me an email,
it's already resolved. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It is. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Great. And yeah, I know that you have a Digital Friday coming up in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for being flexible with sharing the date with folks. I'll follow up with you on that very soon too.
Yeah, no problem. One thing is this: if we need teamwork and we need collaborations, we have to court other side of us, and so that we can join with the others and be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask what
Yeah.
time is it right now where you are zooming in from?
Right now it is 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
So this would be the
on the
time slot that
dot.
you'd be presenting in. Is that okay with you?
Well, it would be it would be 9, right? Yeah, it would be 9 to 10 p.m.
Yes,
for you.
9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Yes, that would be around the time. And you see, because we have the time difference, there's no way that I will cut my time to favor me that it will not affect other people. So
Well,
the
yeah.
the issue is not about me, but when we're working in team, we have to drop other side of ourselves so that we can work together with people. We have to sacrifice some other things, you know.
Is it going to be okay? Well, I guess you came to this event today, but is it going to be okay for you next week?
Yeah, it will be.
Okay.
It's fine by me. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine by me. Only that I will change location, you know, to see that I got proper network, you know, for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
That sounds
Wilson,
good.
thank you for your time.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Have a good rest of your night and weekend.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it is night here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So do
Talk
you
to you
speak other
soon.
language? Do you people speak other language? Because you people, like, your language is like English, exporting everything in English.
Yeah.
And hashtag is not speaking French or Latin or Spanish. So you
Yeah.
people, you want to only propagate English and continue colonizing us in the digital world with the English from the code to the content. You know, I don't know.
Look,
You're right. You
I
guys
have to look
decolonize our
into
language.
yeah, no,
yes.
you get no argument from us on that point. No argument from us.
The little bit of other languages that I speak isn't enough to carry on any sort of interesting conversation. I only know enough like Spanish or Chinese to talk about the weather or what I ate. Like nothing really interesting.
Yeah, I do think you're making an interesting point though, and I wonder like what it would look like for HASTAC to, I mean, nothing is stopping you from writing on HASTAC in French, for example, if that's one of your languages. You know, then there's the question of the website overall, the website itself, you know, obviously everything on the website, the official, you know, structure of the website is all in English and all of the communications are in English. But it's a very important point that you're raising.
Yeah, you see, when you look at my website, I try like to start something multilingual, whereby African local languages here, somebody can just access the website in their language, read an article or read about a digital literature in their mother tongue. And someone can use any kind of language except Chinese, you know, because I don't have Chinese work on my website database. So I would like us to just look into something to HASTAC if we can translate the website and to the level that somebody, to the extent that when somebody at the drop menu, someone can choose one language, either 3 major languages. In America, you know, when you write something in Spanish, it goes English and then French, you know, for the wider, for expanding our community. And that will be very, very important if we can see people buying the idea. You know, that when we talk about inclusion, I know so many people only be talking about LGBTQ and other things. They don't talk also about inclusion in language, inclusion in the culture, you know. So that's why, that's all about me. I like that, to see that language is the diversity.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe at your Digital Friday that can be something. I don't know if you're planning on talking about that at your Digital Friday. I forget the title of your talk.
Yeah, actually, what I will be discussing, I will be discussing African electronic literature.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, that's the project I've worked on, and it's ongoing, work in progress. Because when new things are coming, I keep updating my database, to see that I have new things.
Yeah.
Up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sure that there are other HASTAC scholars or folks in the HASTAC network that are also thinking about this question of language inclusivity and language imperialism, if you will. So I don't know, would be interesting to see some future conversations, discussions about that.
Someone just joined.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone just joined, Asadia. Hey, we're towards the end of the meeting. I'm not sure if you were here earlier, but do you have any questions? We'll send out information in case you weren't able to make it.
Oh,
So, yeah.
sorry. I think I got the time wrong. I thought it was 3.
Yes, Eastern time.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay. So we'll be sending out an email with kind of a recap of everything we talked about at today's welcome event, and it'll have links for all of the ways that people, like the signups for ways that people can plug into our existing programming. And we'll also share a recording of the event as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about the mix-up.
Okay, it's okay.
So I want to just make one request before we part. I want to just make one request, and my request is this. It's just very simple. I'm deficient in programming. Yeah, but what I do is that I do collaborative work. I can read codes, but I don't code. Because I can critique the code, CCS, critical study, and I know what would be the output sometime, more especially JavaScript and basic languages like HTML, CSS, and the rest. But what I'm getting problem with is that, in my database, like the guy that's managing my database is based in Florida. And and then when we want to do things, he's not always like there, because he's also working on something. He's a developer, and I need collaboration in programming, so that when we do some project, and I am a very creative person. I can create the world in my brain. And sometimes I can just like get the architecture of what how can I say, the framework of what I want to do. But when it comes to coding now, to code it, I will be limited. Sometimes from coding and trying to like manipulate other people's code, it will give me another result that will fit into my thought. That's all what I do with coding. Yeah. I don't know whether HASTAC has such kind of provision,
Well,
HASTAC.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, were you able to hear the little bit of discussion earlier about the Discord chat?
Yeah, I'm on Discord, but I think I've not subscribed to HASTAC Discord,
Well, there isn't one yet, but somebody offered to lead in creating one. And so I would say that would, once that is up and running, I would say that would be a good place to, say on Discord what you just said to us, that you're looking, for people to either collaborate with or to, improve your coding skills, et cetera, et cetera. I would not be surprised if there's someone already in your cohort of HASTAC scholars who, would be able to help you with that. There must be coders, right? I mean, I don't know. We're talking about digital humanities. I'm like you. I I sort of know a little bit about coding. I've done a little coding, but I would not be able to bring to fruition ideas that I have. But I'm sure you could get connected with folks in the HASTAC network who do have those programming skills.
Yeah, so as soon as I'm gonna follow up with the person who volunteered to start the Discord. Their name is Zach. And as soon as we get that up and running, I'll share a link so that everybody can join in. I think that Hilary's advice is right, that that would be a great place to reach out to folks and try to collaborate.